Have you ever stopped to think about how much you've come to enjoy your own company as you've gotten older? Maybe you don't feel that pull to always be around people like you used to. Or perhaps you've noticed that quiet moments bring you more joy than loud, busy gatherings. Some folks might look at this and assume you're pulling away from life or becoming distant. But the truth is, choosing to spend time alone as you age can be a sign of real wisdom. Society loves to celebrate people who are always out there, super social, and connected 24/7, like that's the only way to live well. But there's something deep and powerful in knowing how to enjoy your own space, away from all the noise. It's not about shutting people out. It's about finding a kind of strength and peace that only comes when you're okay being by yourself. In this discussion, we're going to dig into 5 big reasons why older people who like their alone time are actually incredibly wise. From loving a calm life to keeping your mind sharp, each reason shows how solitude in your later years isn't about feeling lonely. It's about growing stronger inside, understanding who you are, and living life the way you want to, not how others expect you to. Stick with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you might see that your love for quiet time is one of the smartest, most valuable parts of getting older. Let's jump in and explore this together. Reason 1. You value calmness. As you get older, peace starts to feel more important than all the chaos life can throw at you. After years of dealing with jobs, family, tough times, and everything in between, you begin to realize that calmness isn't just a nice break. It's something you absolutely need to feel good. You've learned that getting caught up in drama, chasing distractions, or sitting through pointless conversations doesn't add anything to your life. It just wears you out. Instead of filling every day with things to do or people to see that don't really matter to you, you've gotten smart about picking what's worth your energy and who's worth your time. Take Sarah, for example. She's 70 now. When she was younger, she was always surrounded by people, coworkers, neighbors, random folks she felt she had to chat with. She thought it was her job to keep up with everyone, even when she didn't enjoy it. But after she retired, she started to see that a lot of those connections were just habits, not friendships that meant something. So she began saying no to stuff she didn't care about and found happiness in little things. A peaceful walk in the morning, curling up with a book, or just sitting and letting her mind wander. And you know what? She didn't feel lonely at all. She felt free, like a weight had lifted off her shoulders. Enjoying your own company shows you're strong enough to not need constant noise or activity to feel okay. A lot of people run from being alone because they're scared of their own thoughts, but if you can handle it, that's a big deal. It's emotional toughness and wisdom rolled into one. Some might think this is the same as hiding away, but it's not. Being isolated is when you're lonely and craving company you can't get. Choosing solitude is different. It's you deciding to step back from the world's craziness and finding comfort in the quiet. When you figure out that peace is way better than fake, empty socializing, you've grabbed onto one of the greatest gifts aging has to offer. Reason 2. You know who you are. Aging wisely means you've taken the time to really figure out who you are deep down. When you were younger, you might have spent a lot of energy stressing over what other people thought of you, trying to fit into groups, keeping up appearances, or looking for a thumbs up from friends, family, or even strangers. But now, as you've grown older, you don't feel that need to prove anything to anybody. You've been through enough, good times, hard times, and everything in between, to know what you're about, what you enjoy, and what you just won't put up with anymore. That kind of self-knowledge is rare and strong, and it's something you've earned over the years. People who can't stand being alone often struggle because they haven't built that connection with themselves. They lean on others to drown out the silence, distract them from their feelings, or tell them they're okay. But if you actually like hanging out with yourself, it's because you've reached a place where you're secure and happy just being you, no outside approval needed. Take Tom, he's 68. Back in the day, he was the guy always out and about, surrounded by friends, filling his days with plans and chatter. He thought that's what he was supposed to do. But as time passed, he realized a lot of that busyness was just routine, not something that made him truly happy. After he retired, he started carving out more alone time, going for walks by himself, sipping coffee in the quiet morning, even taking little trips solo. He didn't feel lost or empty. Instead, he felt more confident, more in touch with himself, and freer than he'd ever been. When you really know yourself, you don't need someone else to tell you you're enough. You feel it inside. You're good with your own thoughts, your own choices, and that lets you live life in a way that matches what you care about, not what the world thinks you should do. Some people might scratch their heads and wonder why you'd rather be alone. But the ones who get it see the truth. It's a sign you've done the work to understand yourself. You've got nothing left to prove, and you're content in your own skin. That's a strength not everyone finds. Reason 3. You pick good connections over lots of them. As you get older, you start to see that not every relationship deserves a spot in your life. When you were younger, you might have had a big crowd around you all the time. Co-workers, casual friends, people who drifted in and out without leaving much of a mark. Back then, it might have felt normal to keep up with everyone, even if it didn't mean much. But now, with more years behind you, you've learned that what really counts isn't how many people you know, it's how good those connections are. Society sometimes pushes you to hold on to every tie, especially if you've known someone forever, but wisdom tells you that just because something's old doesn't mean it's valuable. If a relationship doesn't bring you respect, support, or happiness, keeping it around just because you feel you should only drags you down. Letting go of those kinds of ties isn't mean, it's smart and healthy. Look at Lisa. She's 72. She used to have a huge circle of friends and felt like she had to keep them all going. Even when it wasn't fun, she'd go to events she didn't care about, force small talk with people who didn't really know her, and spend time with folks who didn't add anything good to her life. But as she got older, she decided to stop pretending. She quit forcing herself into those situations and focused on the few people who really mattered, ones who cared about her, who got her, who made her feel good. Now, she spends her energy on those real bonds, and she feels lighter, calmer, and way more satisfied than she ever did with a packed social calendar. Choosing quality over quantity means you care more about what's real than what looks good on the outside. You don't waste your days on fake smiles or chats that go nowhere. Some might think you're pushing people away when you spend more time alone, but that's not it. You're just keeping the best stuff close, whether that's a handful of family members, a couple true friends, or even the solid relationship you've built with yourself. You don't need a million plans to feel worthwhile, because you've figured out that a few deep connections beat 100 shallow ones any day. That's a wise way to live. Reason 4. You keep growing and learning. There's this idea out there that when you get older, you stop growing or learning new things. But if you enjoy your alone time, chances are you're proving that wrong every day. Some people need constant company to keep themselves entertained, but you find real joy in digging into new ideas, picking up hobbies, or sharpening your skills, all on your own. It's not just about filling the hours, it's about keeping your mind alive and excited. Aging doesn't mean you're done. It means you've got the freedom to explore stuff you never had time for before. Take James, he's 74. After years of working hard and raising a family, he suddenly had a bunch of free time on his hands. A lot of people might have thought he'd join every club or group around, but instead, he turned to things he could do solo. He started reading books about science that he'd always been curious about, picked up a pencil to try drawing, and even began writing little stories from his life. He didn't feel bored or lonely. He felt alive, like he was discovering a whole new side of himself. Research backs this up too. Older folks who keep their brains busy with learning or creative stuff tend to stay sharper and feel more purpose as they go. Loving to learn isn't just about staying smart. It's about keeping your curiosity alive, staying open to new things, and finding excitement in life no matter how old you get. Some people think by a certain age they've seen it all, but the wisest ones know there's always more to uncover. Maybe a fresh way of thinking, a skill you've never tried, or a deeper look at who you are. People who don't like being alone might chase distractions to keep the quiet away, but you see your alone time as a chance to grow, not a gap to fill. That's a huge sign of wisdom, and it keeps you moving forward. Reason 5. You're okay with your thoughts. A lot of people spend their whole lives avoiding being alone because they're scared of what they'll find in their own head. They pack their days with busyness, turn up the noise, and keep people around. Anything to dodge sitting quietly with themselves. But if you've gotten to a place where you're fine with solitude as you age, you've hit a special kind of strength. You're at peace with your own mind. You don't need a crowd to feel okay. You're good with your past, comfortable with your feelings, and not afraid to just sit and think. That's not easy, and it shows you've grown in ways many never do. Take Mary, she's 69. When she was younger, she was always on the go. Parties, meetups, endless conversations. Part of it was fun, but part of it was her dodging her own thoughts. She didn't want to slow down and face them. But as she got older, she decided to try something different. She started spending more time alone, and at first, it felt strange. Then she realized she actually liked it. She'd sit and think about her life, feel thankful for what she'd done, and even sort through old feelings she'd pushed aside. Instead of feeling restless, she found a calm she hadn't known before, a quiet that didn't scare her but held her steady. Being okay alone doesn't mean you never want company. It means you don't depend on it to feel complete. You can enjoy the silence without fidgeting, look back on your years without drowning in regret, and just be in the moment without needing more. That's a big deal. Most people never get there, running from quiet their whole lives. But if you can sit by yourself and feel at peace, you've learned one of life's deepest lessons: how to be truly okay with who you are. That's wisdom in its purest form. Reason 6. You've learned to let go of what doesn't matter. As you get older, one of the smartest things you figure out is how to stop holding on to stuff that doesn't help you anymore. When you were younger, you might have clung to old grudges, worried about little mistakes, or tried to keep up with things that didn't really fit your life, like chasing trends or pleasing people who didn't care back. But now, with more years behind you, you've seen that hanging on to that baggage just weighs you down. Instead, you've gotten good at letting go, and that's a big reason you enjoy your alone time. It gives you space to clear your mind and focus on what's actually important. Take John, for instance. He's 71. In his earlier days, he'd stress over arguments from years ago or feel bad about choices he couldn't change. He'd keep busy with people partly to avoid thinking about it all. But as he aged, he started spending more time alone, and he realized he didn't need to carry that old junk anymore. He'd sit quietly, think things over, and let them slip away, like dropping rocks from a heavy backpack. Now, he feels lighter and happier, not because he's hiding, but because he's free from stuff that used to drag him down. Letting go isn't easy. It takes wisdom to know what's worth keeping and what's okay to leave behind. People who don't like being alone might hold on to everything, afraid to face what they could release. But if you can sit by yourself and sort through your life without getting stuck, you've learned a big lesson. Peace comes from traveling light. Some might think you're avoiding the world, but really, you're just smart enough to drop what doesn't serve you and enjoy the calm that follows. Reason 7. You appreciate the little things more. Aging has a way of showing you that the small, simple joys in life are often the best, and liking your alone time lets you soak them in fully. When you were younger, you might have chased big thrills, fancy trips, loud parties, or being the center of attention, thinking that's what made life good. But now, you've noticed that a sunny afternoon, a warm cup of tea, or the sound of birds outside can feel just as big, maybe even bigger. Being alone gives you the quiet to really notice those moments, without anyone else pulling your focus away. Look at Grace. She's 73. She used to fill her days with plans and people, always looking for the next exciting thing. But after slowing down, she started spending more time solo, and she found herself loving the little stuff she'd overlooked before. The way her garden flowers opened up, the smell of rain through an open window, or just sitting with a favorite song. She didn't need a crowd to enjoy it. In fact, being alone made it better because she could take it all in at her own pace. Appreciating the small stuff doesn't mean you've settled. It means you've gotten wise enough to see that happiness doesn't need to be loud or flashy. People who always need company might miss these quiet gems, too busy looking for something bigger. But if you can be alone and smile at the little things, you've tapped into a kind of joy that's deep and real. Some might wonder why you'd skip a party for a quiet night, but you know the truth. Those small, peaceful moments are treasures, and your solitude lets you hold onto them tight. Liking your alone time as you get older isn't a sign you're lonely. It's a sign you're wise in ways that matter. It means you've learned to treasure peace over chaos, figured out who you are without needing others to tell you, chosen real connections over fake ones, kept your mind growing with new things, and gotten comfy with your own thoughts. Some people might not understand it. They'll keep chasing noise and crowds, scared of what the quiet might bring. But if you can be by yourself and feel good about it, you've found something rare, real contentment that comes from inside, not out there. It's not about empty days. It's about filling them with stuff that means something to you. thinking, growing, resting in your own way. What hit you the hardest here? How do you see this playing out in your own life? I'd love to know. Drop one thing you took from this and how you might use it. Your thoughts keep this going. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share it around. It helps us keep making stuff that sparks your mind. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you in the next one.